So it's all good talking about your best investments, the best players you've made, and all the profit you've made. But I'm going to talk about one of the worst investments that I have made. So cast your mind back to 2023 when the Japanese waifu hype was on. Japanese cards in general were hyped up. But there was this waifu craze for these female trainers, and they were going absolutely crazy. We were seeing Lily cards reach untold prices. In June 2023, we saw a certain Lily card in a PSA 10 sell for $108,000. And the hype didn't look like it was slowing down. Basically, it was going absolutely mental. For a Japanese female trainer card to sell for over six figures was absolutely mental at the time. Well, mental compared to previous history, but during all the hype, that seemed somewhat reasonable. So as a result of seeing all of this new stuff, and to admit, getting caught up in the hype perhaps, I bought in November 2023 the Lily Simplified Chinese Exclusive Support Gift Box, as it was called. I purchased this from a US seller for $329, which at the time was the equivalent of £263. With all the hype going around these waifu cards, I thought it would continue, with all honesty, but that was not the case. The idea with this was to keep the box sealed and then sell it at a later date for a tidy profit. As many of you will know, since then the waifu hype has definitely calmed down. A lot of these cards have retracted back to somewhat of a normal price, and I got stuck with this box. As time went on, the value of this box did deplete compared to what I had purchased it for. For example, now the same seller that I bought that box off still has some listed, and they are now listed for £186. So immediately that is nearly £80 less than what I paid for it, if it's even worth that now, because these boxes are potentially not even selling for that. However, I decided to try and pivot and try a grading play on this card instead. So I opened the box because I saw it had all these playmats in, some packs, so I thought, oh, I'll open some Simplified Chinese. Never opened Chinese cards before, but Japanese quality but English backs, that sort of idea of where the Chinese cards sit. I thought we got a good chance of a tenner potentially in this box. So I opened it, went through all the stuff, and it was actually in very, very good condition, to be fair. So we then continued to send it to PSA, and I waited in anticipation for your roughly 2 to 3 month turnaround that you do get on a bulk grading submission. And in my favour, fortunately, it did come back as a PSA 10. But you couldn't have guessed, in that same amount of time, the waifu craze had depleted even more. And so whereas that card was worth somewhere between £200 and £300 prior to submitting, it was now worth less than £200. I originally listed this card on my eBay for, I believe, £180. However, didn't receive much interest at that price point until I finally got an offer in the region of £120. And at that point, after all that rigmarole, waiting all that time, and definitely realising this was a bad investment, I decided to accept the offer for £120. So really, not only with the initial cost of the box being more than I should have paid for it in the first place due to hype, I've then paid for it to be graded just to sell it for a hell of a lot less. So let's say the box was £263. On average, grading cost me about £14-15. So let's call it £15. So I am £278 in and sold it for 120. So nearly £160 down. Massive, massive fail on that one. So what can we learn from this one then? Pretty much the main takeaway I've had from this is do not buy into the hype for certain things if it seems inorganic. If other people, when you go down to your local shop, or people that you talk to online, aren't buying these things and they don't really understand it, there doesn't really seem to be that hype in anywhere but on the internet perhaps, then then potentially it's inauthentic and potentially it's all going to come crashing down like this did. Also, it wasn't really anything that I was interested in. The trainer cards aren't really my sort of, they don't really do it for me. So if you're not really that interested in it, you're probably not going to hold on to it anyway. And you're not, even if you were to take a loss, but it's something that you liked, you wouldn't feel so bad because you might just keep it instead and cut your losses. Don't give in to the hype. Invest in things that you like, because then you're more likely to keep them. Or if you do take an L like I did here, you don't feel as bad because you enjoy the cards anyway. Both of which I failed to in this scenario. Hopefully this helps you not make the same mistake as I did. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Let me know if you have made any big investing mistakes in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.